Welcome once again. It's the Close the Deal show with Terrence McCray. And it is so good to hear from you viewers. As you recently know, there is a gun buyback starting tomorrow. So follow through on that. But also, as you know, today's show is being sponsored by the BuildWealth Movement. And today we actually have in the studio the BuildWealth Movement. I'm talking about a man that knows how to manage money. So are you having problems with managing your money? Are you in debt? Are you looking for ways to figure out how to prepare for retirement? Are you going through issues where you have some money but you don't know where to invest it in? Well, today's guest is going to educate not only the Bay Area but people all over the world on how to make sound investments and how to financially utilize your money wisely so that you'll have longevity in it. So ladies and gentlemen, I wish to introduce you all to not only a good friend of mine, but the man behind the movement called the BuildWealth Movement, Mr. Jasper Smith. Welcome, welcome,
Hey,
welcome.
Terrence, what's up, brother?
How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, man. You know, I count the small wins, and I think every day I wake up is a day to fight. I've already won the day. No matter how good, no matter how bad the day might be, how stressful, I've won. I woke up, these opened up, my hands work, I can move, I can walk. And I think sometimes we lose sight of some of those easy victories because we get so caught up in whatever we're doing in our life, we get kind of caught up, but I definitely make sure to cherish those small moments, like just waking up in the morning.
Well, could you tell my Close the Deal viewers, actually tell us about the background of the BuildWealth Movement, not only how it came about, but what is it really about?
Great question. So I've been in financial services my entire professional career, and watching, or I say experiencing, like the industry itself was, I mean, I think sometimes you just have to live it. Like there's only so much you can learn in a book. And so working in financial services, I saw that there was like one overarching theme.
Well, how long you been in financial services?
Be going on 11 years this year.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 years. So right out of college, I've been in financial services in an array of capacities. But it'll be 11 years.
Okay.
And what I've saw, Terrence, honestly, man, it's just the level of education around all things money is the biggest thing that I witness over, even today through my career. It's just this lack of education around all things related to money. And mind you, we live in a capitalistic society where money kind of makes the world go round, and yet there's so many people who still just don't know enough about money, or they just don't talk about it because money is a taboo subject. It's a little too personal, Terrence. I can't tell you about my financial issues, but I can go have fun, go to the party and go to the game and do all this other stuff. But when it comes to money, that's just a little too personal. And that is one of the biggest issues with most people, is that they're just not courageous enough to start that dialogue. And whether that's with a financial services professional or just in their community or in their household, people just aren't having this conversation. So, to your point, the BuildWealth Movement was, I tell people, it was created because it needed to be. There's a need that needs to be fulfilled. And so the mission behind this whole effort is fairly simple. I'm trying to change the way people think and the way people feel about money.
But are you also trying to get them to pay you?
Yes, I'm in business, right? So, I mean,
Okay.
I would not sit here and say we do everything for free. I don't think anybody would go to work for free. I think if you have time and a talent, you should be rewarded for that. Now certain professions will reward you depending on your level of education, your time in the industry. So yes, I do have, some positions where I am looking to grow a business. And this movement actually just started out as an educational initiative. Wasn't even trying to make money. It was just somebody said, well, Jasper, I've known you for a while. Would you come talk to the kids? Would you come talk to my group or my friends? And I was like, well, if people keep asking me to come talk to them, this might be a viable opportunity. So it really did just start out as a way to educate people, to see how they think and feel. Because I think once we attack one or both of these areas, like things change. Like depending on how you grew up or where you grew up, if I always saw my parents struggling with money or my community, I have a very bad relationship with money. I've never seen a positive example of what it's like to have it or to even manage it effectively. Versus people who may have come up on the other side of the train tracks. If you came up in a wealthy kind of neighborhood or community, you see they move totally different. And it's all because of how they look at money, how they feel about it, and what has been passed down from generation in terms of here's what we expect. You know, if you're born into this wealthy family, there's a list of expectations that you need to abide by. You know, underserved communities, they don't have that education, they don't have that family history, and so that's where the disconnect comes a lot of times, where a lot of underserved or poor people resent wealthy people. And I always say, well, what don't you have access to, and how can we get you that access? So if it's information, most people have a computer right in their hands, but I think we spend too much time being social and being friendly and texting. It's just like, people are making money, so when you gonna get on the boat?
That is absolutely true. So my question is, what are the top 3 financial components of a person or organization must possess to remain financially sound? Mr. Jasper?
I think there are a couple of things, Terrence. I think whether it's a personal, whether it's a business, you got to have some goals. First off, I got to know where I'm going before I go. So a simple activity that I do with groups of people, I always say, think about the last vacation you went on. And you can attest to this too. You know where you're staying, how you getting there, what excursions, what you're going to eat, and how long you're going to be there. So it's nice and charted out because it's fun. You got to do the same thing when it comes to your money. What are your goals? And there's a popular framework. It's called the SMART goals framework. And some people may be familiar with that. It's a goal needs to be specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. Now, that's a popular framework which works. But if it's not working for you, you got to find something else. And so the something else that I found personally was the SMART goal framework is nice. It just didn't speak to who I was. So I said, I need something a little bit different. And so I've met some people along the way, and she was also an advisor, and she shared with me how she attacks goal setting. So there's really kind of 3 parts. First, you need a quick win. There's something that no matter what your financial issue is, you can do something about it right now, either like in this next hour, over the weekend, or within the next week. That's a quick win. And people, again, they always think it has to be some extravagant goal. It's like, no. Let's count those little victories, because all of those are going to add up and give you the confidence. They're going to build that confidence around money. So if I already feel bad about losing money my whole life or being broke, I need a little bit of a victory to make me feel better. Feelings. It's emotional. Money's emotional. So I need a quick win, right? Once I've gotten the quick win done, I've got to figure out a big win. So that could be, maybe I have a credit card that I'm trying to pay off in the next 3 months. So in 3 months, I'm going to feel a lot better knowing that I've finished paying my bank or my credit union that payment every month. So a big win is something that you can accomplish in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or even a year. Because you're going to feel even better after you get that big win under your belt.
So would that be like paying off your car?
Could be. Oh, car's a big one. A lot of people around here riding around in fancy cars with that $800 car note, and that car is not making you any money. A car is one of the worst investments ever. And people still to this day, they don't need a financial planner to coach them on how to get a new car. They'll start saving money, they'll fix their credit, they'll do all the research, and then they'll get that car. And they're going to look cool. They're going to be fly. They're going to be stunting on their friends. But then you got that car note coming every single month, and you paying $600-700 to somebody else to fund somebody else's dreams and goals and putting their kids through college. So that big win, it could be the car, it could be the student loans, it could be whatever. It's just that time parameter. So now I'm giving you to think, okay, I have 3 months. I need to be focused. So if I got a quick win, I feel a lot better. I feel like I have some momentum. But then once I get that big win, oh, now we cooking now, baby. We cooking with hot grease, baby. But then there are the ongoing victories. Now, ongoing victories, those are the habits, Terrence. We all got some bad ones. And when it comes to money, myself included, but we got to work on them. But those aren't going to get done overnight, and those aren't going to be too quick, because most of the people that I've spoken to over the years, you've had this a lot of time in terms of living. So you've built maybe some good or some bad habits, and it's some of those bad habits that are preventing us from kind of moving forward to being everybody I think everybody wants financial freedom. They don't understand that's a process, and it takes one step.
But what about the person who's single and
Yep.
who makes a large sum of money? Okay, according to statistics in San Francisco alone, 80% of residents make over 150K.
Okay.
And 95% in San Francisco residents make over 250K. How do you teach these people or educate these people with learning how to manage their money and prepare for that rainy day?
So data and statistics are great, Terrence. So I applaud you for looking up the research. But here's the problem with research. It's very specific. So I need to know what's on the surface level is the actual numbers that they produce. But if you dig a little deeper into any study, you got to really take a look at what demographic they're focusing on. So in that let's say the income is $150,000. So if I'm a young single person living here in the Bay Area making $150K, which there are a lot of those out here, right?
80%.
Right. So what's really on their mind? I make a lot of money. I'm probably educated. Maybe I'm I'm away from my family. So I feel like I'm an adult. So I can do whatever it is I pretty much want to do because I can afford it. So I may have that expensive, apartment in downtown San Francisco or even in Oakland or San Jose or wherever you are. I may take some fun vacations and trips because I have that disposable or discretionary income to spend on fun. I'm not thinking about getting old. That's, what the younger person is thinking about. I feel almost like I'm privileged to have this position to be young and educated and make all this money. So I'm not thinking 5 or 10 years down the line. I'm thinking about right now. And I'm going to live my life. And I'm sure you've heard this before, like the whole YOLO movement, right? You only live once. And that's great. You do only live once, but a lot of us aren't planning to get old. And so for a lot of these younger people, it's going to be a tough reality if they're in their 40s or 50s and they're just trying to start. And there's still a lot of people who live that life. I enjoy my 20s and 30s. And, now that I'm 40 and I have a family, like life has changed and now I'm starting. But had they done just a little bit in their 20s, you'd have been so much further ahead of the game when you did have the family and had the real need for like a financial plan. And so then if we flip it to the other side, so let's say I'm a family making $150,000, but I'm a family of 4. I mean, you're pretty close to the poverty line living in the Bay Area.
Are you serious?
Yeah. There have been numerous articles about families of 4, depending on where you are in the Bay Area, you may just be getting by. So that means that's 2 people. So that could mean 2 incomes. And you have let's say you have 2 kids, you may just be getting by. You may just be able to pay your mortgage or your rent and then have a little bit of money for the necessities, but you may not be having a lot of fun. And so there are a lot of families I've met personally who made more than $150,000, but a family of 4 is not really living large out here. And so from their perspective, you got a lot of different needs when you got a family. So there's maybe, childcare, there's educational costs. A lot of people love private schools versus public. That's a debate. Single person doesn't care. It's all about me. But if I got a family, it's about what am I doing for these little kids? You think about your, life insurance is a big deal because if you don't have coverage and you're not here tomorrow, what happens? How's that income getting replaced? You think about, well, what if, my significant other and I, what if we're in an accident and we have young kids? So who in your family is going to take care of these kids? So I don't think people really think of the severity around what could happen if you don't take care of business while you're here. And so when I talk to families, I'm almost trying to force them to address this uncomfortable topic because it's sad to see these stories, man. Like in person, I mean, people are crying from me, Terrence. I'm just like, you never knew you should have done this. It pulls at your heart, man.
It sounds like it does because I was once told that you should invest in death.
I've heard that before too.
And that's what it sounds like to me. That may seem strange.
To some people, not to me.
But, it seems like the rich always invest in death. Why can't the poor?
Yeah. I think it's one thing and maybe if we don't use invest, I think giving it the necessary attention.
Okay.
Right? I think, yeah.
In what way?
A lot of people don't take care of business while they're alive. And so I have a lot of friends who are estate planning attorneys, and they talk about when they go to probate court how, mom or dad or whoever passed away didn't like have their financial affairs in order. Now, one, it's a very costly process. So now, if you didn't have the necessary assets, somebody in your family is having to waste time out of their day. Maybe they got to take off time from their job to go handle your mess that you didn't clean up. And it is awful. I've heard stories, and it's like, why would you want to put your family, who you say you love and care so much about, why wouldn't you want to take care of this stuff while you're here on this earth? It's the toughest thing to talk about, Terrence, because again, we don't want to talk about dying. It's guaranteed. We all gonna be up out of here at some point.
That's absolutely true.
It's just, I would love if I had a family, and I'm that family of 4, I need to do everything I can to protect my family. Which is what most people would do, right? I will fight for them, I'll kill for them, that kind of, like, you would go to the ends of the earth to protect your family.
Correct.
And part of that protection is having your financial plan or financial house in order, which a lot of people don't.
So what's next for the Build Wealth Movement?
Quite a few things. So it started out as just this idea of I'm going to try to educate people and see what see what kind of shakes out. But there's a couple different efforts I'm working on, and one is a collaboration I'm doing with a nonprofit organization I've been working with probably for the last 5 or 6 years. It's a national organization, but I have had the pleasure of working with the San Francisco Bay Area chapter of the Urban Financial Services Coalition. And so that is a volunteer-based nonprofit, and part of their mission is to really educate the masses. Financial wellness or financial literacy is just not being delivered to certain communities in this country. And so part of our effort is we're doing this half-day boot camp. And so I call it the Build Wealth Boot Camp. And so it's going to be a half a day. I'm going to feed people because, got to feed people. You're going to have them there all day long. And what we're doing is we're talking or covering every single topic you need to be thinking about if you're trying to craft a robust financial plan. So we're going to attack budgeting, understanding your credit, handling, the life insurance part, handling the investments, retirement. All those are critical areas where a lot of people may or may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because a lot of times, a lot of people, honestly, Terrence, you don't know what you don't know.
Say that again.
You don't know what you don't know.
What is it that I don't know?
A whole lot. When it comes to this money, a lot of people don't know that they should have X amount of life insurance depending upon their income. They don't know that, there are a lot of free resources that you can utilize to help you fix your credit. There are a lot of applications and templates and services that can help you with managing your money on the budgeting side. There's a lot of things that people don't know. And part of it too is nobody's questioning them. You just think, I make a great living, I can pay my bills on time, and it kind of just stops there for a lot of people. So the Build Wealth Bootcamp is a way to really get people in a room, and so I'm really going to cover the entire gamut. And when you walk out of there, not only will you be there for about a half a day, there is providing lunch, but also everybody who attends gets 2 free follow-up sessions. Because I've done hundreds of workshops, Terrence. Here's what happens. You come into the room, no matter the topic, everybody's hot and bothered, and you're feeling really motivated, right? And they walk out that door, and guess what happens?
They don't remember the information.
Nothing happens. They remember it because they either wrote it down or they got the packet of information, but there's no other action. There's nobody holding them accountable. So while you're in that setting, you're juiced up because everybody around you is like, it's a hype show, but it's like the real work begins when you walk out this room. So I'm offering 2 free follow-up sessions to make sure that momentum doesn't fall to the wayside. So that's an effort we're doing September 15th over in Oakland. And then there's another effort that I've been working on this year. And it started out as an experiment. I just wanted to see if I could offer some type of financial education training on kind of those same topics, but doing it in just a half hour and making it virtual. So it's called the Build Wealth Half Hour. And all it is 30 minutes on, a variety of topics. And so I cover the basics. I'm trying to keep this stuff simple. And that 30 minutes, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be on the phone, you could be on your computer, because virtual kind of rules out the whole, I can't make it to the event, because I don't live in your state or your city. I'm open up to everybody.
Okay. What can we learn more about how to stay financially sound?
Right here. This phone. Excuse me, this little mini computer. And I alluded to it earlier. There's so much information sometimes that hinders a lot of people. it's what I call, sometimes people suffer from what's called paralysis by analysis. So there's so much information on your phone, on the computer, the media. And so there are some credible sources and some not so credible sources. I think as the individual, you need to determine, like, you almost have to figure out what's your style? Like, what do you like about, when you meet with a service provider? Are they somebody who's extremely charismatic? Is it somebody who's very technical because you need a lot of detail? Like, those are key factors that you have to understand. So when you're looking for these sources, and there's a ton of them, Terrence, there are a lot of, every large major financial institution generally has a lot of education by way of articles on their company websites. Mm-hmm. You have, media outlets that offer a finance section. There are a ton, but people have to pick one or multiple and really stick to it and start to educate. It's all about the education, because once you get comfortable with it, this becomes second nature. Like, wealthy people don't worry about this stuff. They don't. They got the plan is in order, and then even when life happens, because life is going to happen to everybody, right? You get knocked down and you get right back up because there was a framework. But see, the person who doesn't have a plan, you're just going around life and flailing around. So like, well, I'm going to go here, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to talk to this person, and then you lose your mind, literally. But when you have that game plan, there's some structure around it, you can sleep a lot better at night. Like, I sleep really good at night knowing my plan is tight. There are families with kids, and they stress every day about the money, or stress about what happens if I die tomorrow, or stress about if I get laid off, what happens, or stress about if I get sick and I can't go back to work, how do I pay these bills? So there's a lot of questions that people need to really start to ask themselves. And granted, there's so much information out there, but there's also a story that's similar to yours, Terrence. Everybody thinks their story is different. No, it's probably millions of people with the exact same issue. So maybe you need to, join a group that has a common, issue, and start to learn, like, what are they doing to get out of that situation. There's an infinite amount of resources, Terrence. We're just too busy trying to have fun.
Absolutely. That's what it sounds like. So my next question to you, Mr. Smith, is, everyday Americans and residents of San Francisco are bombarded with emails and commercials from financial organizations that that can, say we can do this, we can do that, and get us out of financial disaster. What sets you apart from the organizations that offer financial services?
I think the biggest thing that I do is I keep it simple. I have learned just in my time and working for some very large firms, they just don't talk to us like we're human beings. I mean, the industry jargon that's used, some of the vocabulary, it's not accustomed to every community. So I think a lot of that puts a lot of people off, and so we tend to not focus on things that we don't understand. But the messaging could be legitimate. It's just the message wasn't explained in a way where I could understand it. And so something I started doing is I don't judge the book by its cover. And I learned that lesson early in business because, again, I thought this person didn't have money, and they did. And then the person I thought that had money didn't. And then I got everybody in between. And so I started saying, every interaction that I have, whether it's an individual, a business, a workshop, community effort, when I'm talking about financial anything, I got to make sure I can relate it to you. I don't care where you're from, what color you are. It's just I've got to be able to make sure my message is simple, almost as if you're in kindergarten.
Well, give me an example.
I'll give you an analogy first. Here's what happens with financial. Like, let's take investments. To most people, they are afraid of the stock market. And I hear that all the time.
Why?
They don't understand it. Okay. They just want to know how it's going to help them, right? And the analogy I use is kind of like telling the time. Some people want to know what time it is. Other people want to know how the watch works. And so when I look at financial products or solutions, I've got to find out, like, how does Terrence need to hear this message? Because if Terrence is very technical, I better have a ton of data. I better have a list and, facts and case studies and all this information, because for you need that information to make your decision. Versus, let's say you had a twin brother and he was like, well, just tell me how I'm going to make some money. All right, well, put this in and do that. Great. and then there's everybody in the middle. Okay. So a lot of people, they aren't really sure how to go about doing it, but the messaging has been, it's almost as if most of these firms have just been pushing stuff at you. Buy this, Terrence. You got this job, you should own this car. You know, all that stuff, you know, we're a consumption society. And so a lot of times people just can't make a decision. And when it comes to like investments and these financial solutions and products, people are so nervous because nobody is delivering the message like they need to hear it. You know, I think marketing departments do a great job of making it look good, but some of their messaging is just going over people's heads. And so you wonder why you keep seeing articles about people, they don't save for retirement. They don't have an emergency fund. And I could go on and on every single financial topic. And why is that? Because at some point, they've started to tune out all the noise. Like, I'm tired of seeing every financial firm say you should have your retirement account here. Okay, thank you. But why? You know, so it's trying to figure out how to deliver a simple message and something that is simple enough that's gonna get you moving. That's it. Like, what are you waiting on? Like, people can say, I'm gonna wait, it's not a good time, I'm too busy. Yo, life's gonna pass you by. That investment opportunity is kind of like the bus, right? That bus goes by, you missed it. And you better hope another one comes in the next 15 to 20 minutes or you gotta figure another way to get home.
Absolutely.
And investment opportunities are the same way, Terrence. People are like, well, I should have invested in that company. I'm like, why didn't you? Well, I don't know. I was trying to figure out the perfect time and I was listening to this and I heard, I said, uh-oh, paralysis by analysis. You kept getting all this information, but you never made a decision.
Yeah.
It's the execution. I'm good at just saying, what is it you want to do? Let's take a look and see what you've done thus far, and then we're going to make a choice. But that choice has got to be when you're ready. Because, again, Jasper has his plan. I sleep good at night. How about you? And I just sit there and just listen.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and sharing your expertise.
For sure.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Terrence.
There you have it. Once again, not only just informative information, but the kind of information for you to close the right deal. So join with the Close the Deal show and follow the Build Wealth Movement. Not just only on Instagram, but be looking for it on the Close the Deal show blogs. But most importantly, remember, as Jasper said, develop you a financial plan in order for you to know how to close the right deal.